Peace and prosperity be unto all who's listening and watching. It's your girl Cashapp LaShaWright, and I'm back with another video. And today's video is about mastering your emotions. And what that comes with is having emotional intelligence, being able to understand and break down what you feel, where the feelings come from, and how they begun, and whether these feelings are temporary or these feelings long term. Emotions are like clouds, they come and go. Some emotions stay with you forever while some don't. They're like thoughts. Some thoughts are remaining thoughts, consistent thoughts for a long period of time, while other thoughts aren't the same. They're just thoughts. So emotions are the same. They fluctuate, they change, they grow with you as you grow as a person. The best thing about emotions is being a logical person, because emotions can really drift and persuade you to do things that are illogical, rash, harmful to not only yourself but others. It can put you in a very sticky predicament or in a really bad situation. So if you're not logical and you don't have an emotional intelligence and you allow your emotions to control your decisions and the things you do in life, you naturally will end up on the ugly side of things. You want to make sure that you put yourself in the best position, that you don't do things from a logical emotional standpoint, but from a logical standpoint. So first, before you act on your emotions, you want to understand where these emotions come from. And you want to really break down. So, okay, sometimes you have emotions when you interact with other people. Maybe you're having a conversation, an argument, or a debate. Sometimes your emotions, depending on your perception and the way you perceive it, can be triggering. Something that person said can trigger you. It can make you speak out things that aren't really the best. It may make you be rude. It may make you say some really ugly, nasty things. Emotions can prevent you from understanding where the other person's coming from, and it can make you see things from a point that isn't really the point that they were trying to present to you. So this is why it's good to remain logic, even though emotions stir up in the midst of conversations, debates, arguments, and even conversations. The biggest thing about communication is when you're speaking to the other party, or you're working with yourself, is understanding each side's point, so both sides of perspective, and then get the perception in which each person is trying to present, so that no one's feeling unheard or not listened to. Because when it's like that, then it's like no one's happy, no one's going to be considerate of the other. Then there's like this really uncomfortable feeling between the two people, and no one gets along anymore. Now, when it comes to you as an individual, mastering your own emotions, that's what I was just talking about. Is like communication with other people and having conversations or debates and arguments, or just a real conversation with someone. It's just being able to understand their point of view, remaining calm, making sure that you stay in a logical state, understand and validate, and really learn from each other's perspectives so their perceptions can be reciprocated. As far as like your own emotions, understanding you is come to a place where you understand, you know your triggers, you know where they come from, you understand how they started, how they begun. You start to help yourself overcome those things, or you identify those things so that you can be aware of those things when people do the things that may trigger you, or you can speak out your boundaries in a sense when you're with people, when they do certain things that may trigger you that you're not healed from, maybe like a trauma or something. It's just really understanding yourself emotionally, but you have to mentally have the logic to understand every emotions that you're dealing with. So if you're somebody who is triggered by a specific word, then you meet a couple people in your life, and these people say that specific word around you, it wasn't anything else they done or the action or behavior that they did. It was just that word specifically. It made you act a different way because someone who may have abused you, someone who may have hurt you, maybe something in your childhood, it may be a trigger word for you. They don't know that, right? But your reaction towards the person and the word when they do it can be catastrophic if you're not honest, if you don't speak from a logical standpoint, saying, hey, and speak from a logical standpoint and say, hey, this affects me, this word is something someone used, I'm not very comfortable with this, that you said this, or it can be a specific behavior that maybe somebody in your life was not very kind to you, very abusive, whatever the case may be. It's just setting those boundaries, communicating those things, and speaking your mind, okay? No one can read your mind. No one knows what's going on with you unless you speak out and say what's really going on. But as far as the emotions, the best way to deal with those things, whether it's triggers, childhood traumas, emotions of anger, anxiety, depression, all these things, is just really understanding what it started from, what triggered it. Can you resolve it? Is it something that it can be resolved? Is it a problem that can have a solution for it? If it's not, move forward from it. Matter of fact, redirect your mind on the way you think about the thing that is going on with you, whether it's the anxiety. Anxiety often comes from wanting to escape the present moment, or you're not very okay or comfortable in the current situation. You're very uncomfortable with something. Maybe you're overcoming something in your growth, or maybe it's something stranger, or somebody's putting you in an uncomfortable position. It could be so many things, right? But that comes to a point where you have to understand what it is. No one can understand for you. Only you can understand for yourself, because only you live in your body. Your emotions are your emotions. What triggers your emotions is what triggers your emotions. Your experiences, traumas, pains, hardships, and things like that is your pains, traumas, and hardships. The things that exploit in your mind, that triggers your emotions, that burst out, are the only things that you can understand. So if you don't understand, you can't expect others to understand, because you live through them, you experience them better than anybody. So it comes to the place where you fully have to understand yourself, but you have to understand what you feel, and you have to have that emotional intelligence to understand, but it has to come from a logical standpoint. So it's like solving a problem. You got to identify the problem, then you got to identify the solution, then you have to apply the solution. It's the same with emotions. You have to figure out what's wrong. You got to figure out where the problem comes from. You got to figure out if it's something that can be solved, or it's just something that you're going to have to stick with. And then if it is something that can be solved, you have to find out what the process of solving it is and walk through those processes so you can overcome it. And don't just get through things, overcome them. But that's my take on mastering your emotions. It just comes to the place of understanding, and understanding that anything in life requires a problem, right? And then every problem requires a solution. So just figure out the solution to your problem.